Welcome to Panels and Borders. I'm Dominic. So I know I talk a lot about Dune on my channel, but I want to take a moment here to talk about another favorite science fiction book of mine, and that's H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. So I was thinking about other books I'd like to see made into films now that Dune is being made into one. And one of the books I would love to see made in another adaptation done on the big screen is War of the Worlds. Now there's been two previous films that have been made into movies. Of course, there is the 1950s War of the Worlds, and I've seen that, actually got to see that in cinema. And it's not bad, but it's kind of dated with the special effects, but you know, it still holds up pretty well. But I have a problem with this movie, and it's the same problem I have with the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds. And the problem I have with both of these movies is they both take place in present day times, in the times they were filmed. H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds came out in 1898. It was published, and the book is set in the time it's published in. So I always wanted to see a War of the Worlds film that was set in the same time period that the book was published in. Now, one of the movies that got it pretty close, and I actually enjoyed this, it was an animated sequel, actually, they made to the novel. And it was War of the Worlds Goliath. And it was produced by Kevin Eastman, the guy, co-creator of Ninja Turtles, and I don't know if he's still the editor of Heavy Metal Magazine. But I watched, this was on Netflix quite a few years ago now. It's been a few years since I've seen it, but it was a really clever sequel to the novel. So the novel took place in the time period it took place in, and this movie took place a decade after the Martian invasion. And so now humanity has had a chance to reverse engineer all the left behind Martian technology and all their walker technology, and they make these basically giant mech suits for themselves that people can pilot. And the whole movie has like this cool steampunk look to it. So basically what it is, the last decade, humanity has been altered to this kind of steampunk look, but it is more advanced now because of the Martian technology they've reverse engineered. For the last decade, humanity has been preparing with creating all these mechs and stuff, preparing for whenever the Martians return, which they do in the movie. And it was a really clever film, I thought, and I really enjoyed it. So that was about as close as I got. But my ideal film that I always wanted to see of War of the Worlds, and I thought about this when I watched the Tom Cruise one, because I've read War of the Worlds twice, and the Tom Cruise one, it was very close to the book, but it took place in present day. So that's the problem I had with it. And then because they're trying to make it in present day, they never really said they were Martians, and they never really said they came from Mars. So they were assumed to be from somewhere else. Who knows where else they were from. But now the way I always envision a War of the Worlds movie is set in the time of the novel, but with a very retro technological look to the walkers and everything. So I don't know how many people remember this movie. Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. So I know this movie didn't do very well, but when I watched this movie, I really enjoyed the way the movie was shot and the kind of how the filters they put on it to make it look almost like black and white and kind of pulpy looking. I really enjoyed it, and how all the robots looked like 1950s robots. So here's another shot from that movie, and so these were the kind of robots that were in it, and I thought that was kind of a very cool looking movie. So I would love to see a War of the Worlds movie done like that, and set in the time period of the book and done like that. And which they always put it in contemporary times, but I want to see it done in the actual time that the book came out. So now they've done a few other War of the Worlds adaptations. Like here's one. Now either one of these I haven't seen, but again, I think they're still set in present day. And they're just straight to video films, these two, and here's a sequel to it. I do believe they came out around the same time as the Tom Cruise movie. I have not seen these yet. But the other my favorite other version or adaptation of War of the Worlds is the Jeff Wayne's musical of War of the Worlds. I have that on my phone, and it is really, really cool, unique piece of entertainment. And they kind of did a modern version with Liam Neeson doing narrating and stuff, so I thought it was cool. But now, while I was looking into all this War of the Worlds stuff, thinking about the kind of War of the Worlds movie I'd like to see, I stumbled upon that the BBC is actually making a 3-part miniseries of War of the Worlds. And so a new adaptation of War of the Worlds, but it's going to be set in the same time as the novel. And here's a shot that I found of the film. Now, it was announced in 2017, but still hasn't been out yet. Now, I read a few different articles. I might do another video like going into more detail into the story, but basically it had something to do with they were waiting for the copyrights on the War of the Worlds story to expire, because now it's in the public domain, H.G. Wells' work, so they're waiting for that. And so apparently it's going to be airing sometime in 2019, so sometime this year. So here's a shot. So they're going to stay very close to the book, and it's going to be set in the same time as the book. And then here's a shot of one of the Martian walkers, which I thought was really neat. And which it does look kind of technologically advanced, but so I mean, this is pretty cool. I'm going to really enjoy this. But my ideal War of the Worlds movie would be the one that I explained, like done in the style that Sky Captain and set in the time of the book, and show everything right cheesy, as make it as cheesy as the book is, because obviously the book, was time it was written in, so like the technology doesn't really translate into today, but just keep the cheesiness, like keep the the walkers with the big heat ray, and then keep it like show the big cannon on Mars that fires the Martians at Earth, and the green trail left behind, as they're basically that's how they get to Earth. They're launched out of a big cannon in basically giant bullets almost that crash into the Earth, and then that's how they get out, and they make their walkers out of all the surrounding material and the bullet they were shot to Earth in. So I'd love to see that. That would be so cool to see that on film. So I'll be interested to see what BBC does with this, and with this miniseries. So that's one book I'd like to see a new adaptation of, and we're getting one now. And for sure there'll be more movies made in the future of War of the Worlds. It's a pretty popular story. It's one of my favorite alien invasion stories, is War of the Worlds. And I think it's one of the first ones. I'm not sure, but I think it's one of the first stories that had aliens coming to invade the Earth. So yeah, pretty cool. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. Thank you to all of my subscribers, and thank you for watching this video. And if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for notification when new videos are uploaded.